tuck. See my kicks when I see y'all walk. Flex on me, y'all ain't strong. Say my name, that's them look. Still on top, yeah, it's been that long. They won't know till I say I'm gone. They won't know, say my name. Hey everyone, welcome to the That Sam Law Show, and I'm your host, Sam Law. Today we have a guest that I'm really excited about, especially because it's election season. Woo! I had to do my little Oprah intro. You get a vote, you get a vote. Everybody gets to vote. But I say that to say, I just want to present Allison Bass of Brookhaven, and she is a woman who wears so many hats. Y'all know I love people who got a lot of cool, fancy hats. She is a real estate lawyer. She also does probate, wills and estates, and like I said before, she is running for town council in Brookhaven District 3. So Allison, tell my audience about yourself.
Thank you for having me today. So my name is Allison. I am a Brookhaven town resident. I am a native Brookhaven resident, having been born out in the 70s and growing up out here. I graduated from Longwood in '94, went away to college and got a job in the city after. I lived in the city for about 20 years, during which time I worked in Manhattan, worked in Jersey, ended up in law school and began my law career there. I started working on Sutphin Boulevard in Jamaica, where I really got a feel for the community and the things that were needed. So I started out doing a lot of landlord-tenant work where, you know, you really just get into the nitty-gritty of people's lives. I started that because I thought it wouldn't have a lot of drama, but that's where you really see what goes on in people's lives, what goes on in their homes. There's a lot of family involved. So it really got me connected to the community. I graduated through that and ended up doing a lot of estate work when I started to see what happens when parents pass away and they leave these children with things they weren't expecting, didn't know what to do with. I saw what happens when the community takes advantage of that. And, you know, people are selling houses for pennies on the dollar, and gentrification comes in, and, you know, we all saw it with Brooklyn, and now it's going on in Queens, and it's spreading to out here even. So it's been a passion of mine to really help people understand what their assets mean, how much they're worth, and how to protect them. So that, I think, has kind of crafted my role throughout life as I've grown and matured, and taken on some leadership roles, and this opportunity came around to run for town council, and that's why I'm here.
So that was a lot. I'm just gonna go back to one of the things you did not mention is that you're a mommy.
Yes, I am. I have two boys that I'm so proud of. They're 15 and 10. Their birthdays are both in October, so they're soon gonna be 16 and 11. And they're amazing little guys. I'm super proud of them.
So how do you do it all, like run a private practice, run for office, and mom all at the same time?
That's a tough question. It takes a lot of sacrifice. It's a lot of hard work, a lot less sleep, a lot of worry. I have my village. I'm fortunate now where I live within striking distance of my parents and my sister, so everybody is a phone call away, so that really helps. And my boys are super independent, which helps a lot too. And they've learned to cope with the fact that, you know, mommy has a lot going on, and they come with me a lot. You know, I think raising them in that environment prepares them for the things that I want them to do in the future. So they go to events, they put on suits, they come with me, they know how to sit quiet on the side, and I just bring them along with me.
That's great. You know, I'm going to quote the Bible, which I don't normally do, but it says, you know, train a child up in the way that they should go and they'll never depart from it. I think that's a useful proverb all the way around. Like, you raise your children the best way that you can, and they hold on to those values through their adulthood. Obviously, you held on to a lot of these values. Look at you.
I tried. Thank you.
That's awesome. You're shining.
Thank you.
So have you ever encountered in your legal work any interesting or surprising legal cases that you can share with us? And of course, confidentiality, so you don't have to give all the nitty-gritty details, but give us like something interesting.
Yeah, I run across a lot of interesting things, and, you know, especially in estate planning, there are things that people don't often think about that can affect them, for generations to come. So for instance, I had a client who was living with his girlfriend, and we say girlfriend, but they were together like 30 years.
Oh, wow.
They never got married. They got older. He had helped her pay for the house, pay off the mortgage. He lived in the house, but he didn't get along with her family. And I think that was one of the reasons why they didn't get married. They were in their 60s. She ends up passing away suddenly.
Oh, man.
So now he's in this house where he's lived his entire adult life, and her children are chomping at the bit. And it took a millisecond for them to file eviction papers on him. And he ended up in his late 60s, essentially homeless. He ended up going to a nursing home facility because he just had no claim on the house that he had been paying into for his whole adult life.
That's horrible.
So it's situations like that where people like me come in handy, because had they gotten married or had she had an estate plan, she could have protected the person she probably thought was protected. But I always tell people, you can't count on family to do the right thing, because money does something to people. It changes them.
That's a fact. Oh, that's a fact.
Yeah.
Speaking of like money, we're on Long Island. Long Island has serious disparities when it comes to communities of color versus the general market. That's a term that we like to use when we talk about people that are not of color. How as a real estate lawyer do you plan to address like disparities and inequalities within the housing market, especially in Brookhaven?
Well, when we talk about housing market, I guess there's two sides to it. First, there's real estate, and we all know real estate on Long Island has had a really sordid history. We're like the home base of redlining, where, back when, the suburbs were starting being built, there were certain neighborhoods we couldn't move to at all.
Right.
And then there were neighborhoods that when they did let us move, our mortgages were like at 50% interest, and there were all these barriers put up to really allow us to build equity. So I think one of the first things is always education. And I think that being a real advocate for my clients is something that is so important. Lots of times people get a referral, or they go to an attorney they don't know or they don't trust, and the attorney's just interested in closing the deal.
Right.
But I have tossed deals away and advised people not to close. I've killed deals at the table because the papers are just not what the person thinks they are. I once had someone that was, I think, a bus driver, and he was making like $60,000 or $65,000, and he was about to sign mortgage docs for like a $6,000 mortgage. And I'm sitting here like,
Holy
how are you even going to make this payment? Like, it's not possible. And he's like, oh, well, I can put a basement apartment in, and they told me this. And I'm like, no, you can't count on illegal rent, and you're going to end up in foreclosure. And it's like, I'm not being negative, I'm being realistic. You have to protect yourself, because that's how the cycle starts. So I think just being an advocate for people, being honest, and putting my clients above my profit even a lot of times is like really important. So that's something that I do. And, on the rental side, I think that's part of, the town council position, is just working on policies that will really help bring affordable housing to the area.
Absolutely. I commend you for being like a real estate, I feel like a pit bull, like you're ready to chomp at the bit. No, we're not doing this right now.
It hurts a lot to see people being taken advantage of. There are a lot of people that think that because they closed on a house, they're doing the right thing, but they don't understand the pitfalls of it. And there's no one there to necessarily tell them, because, lots of times it is first generation home buyers, and they don't know. They just know that they're getting a mortgage, and they're so excited to get the mortgage. They don't realize that there's so much more to the puzzle. So
that's the truth. I remember, it's not related to real estate, but just being like a first generation graduate student and a student of color, like I didn't have all this guidance to help me. When you don't have that, like you're kind of navigating this ocean by yourself, and you could end up drowning, And
it's the thing, it doesn't necessarily even get any easier. My parents both have college degrees, and my mom has an advanced degree, and so does my dad. But, as far as first generation attorneys, I don't have an uncle that's a judge. I don't have an uncle that's, all of these other things. So I'm still navigating in my own way. So that's across the board too.
Wow.
We're all in that position.
Hey everyone, it's Sam Law of the That Sam Law Show, and I just want to welcome a very special person, our sponsor, John Bell of the Bell Law Group. John Bell, tell us about the Bell Law Group.
So we're a law firm in Syosset, Long Island, and we focus on employment law and personal injury law. The reason we focus on that is basically to fight for people in need. That's the reason why I became a lawyer, and that has been the mission of the Bell Law Group since I started it 20 years ago. Started out as the law office of Jonathan Bell, but then when it became more than just me, we decided to change the name, change the logo and branding to the Bell Law Group, and we've been out there ever since.
Great. So, John Bell, if anyone needs your services, how can they reach you?
855 John Bell, JONBELL, or on our website, belllg.com.
Thank you. So when you think about dealing with like areas where people are marginalized, how do you plan to engage and involve them in the decision-making processes related to like zoning, land use, and development? I know specifically in Brookhaven, there's like an issue with certain property where it was making people sick. Like, how do you deal with those things? How do you get people involved in wanting to fight back and, you know, just kind of advocate for themselves as well as so you know, like, this is something I can push for in the town council?
Right. So I think the number one thing is information and getting the word out. And you have to meet people where they are. I think sometimes people cast aside politics and even like local government because they don't really understand the connection as to how it affects them directly. So I think just a lot of community outreach, being in the organizations, being and beyond the civics, because the people that go to the civics are already involved. You need to reach the people that are not going to the civics. So one thing that I even started as a candidate was open office hours, where I say, hey, my door is open, just come talk to me, come find out. And I think just finding ways to engage with people wherever they are is so important, just to let them know that it affects them and they have a voice. And that's why I'm there, you know, even though that we are district councils and I would represent District 3, you know, everyone has a vote at the table at the end of the day. So I'd also be an advocate for all of Brookhaven.
That's awesome. We need that. Like, we really need somebody that's ready to step up and show up for us. And, you know, I want to pivot back to you being a businesswoman. Okay. You know, we're going to get off of the politics for now. I know you went to pursue your MWBE, which is Minority Women in Business Enterprise Certificate. What strategies do you have in mind to like promote economic growth, and particularly for those businesses that are owned by women and minorities?
Same thing, just the information. I mean, people understanding the opportunities that are out there should be key motivation. I just finished a stint at the Suffolk County Attorney's Office where I did a lot of procurement. And I mean, to see the organizations that were coming in, there's clearly a dearth of a certain type of organization. And just seeing that some people don't even know these opportunities are there. And sometimes you just have to get your foot in the door and they keep coming back to you. Once they use you, they'll use you again. And what happens is a lot of times it's who you know to get your foot in the door. So I think opening that, having sessions, and really helping people along the lines. Like, it's hard. Like, those applications are daunting.
Oh, I just tried to do it.
Yeah, all brutal. Your taxes, all of this, all of that, the things that sometimes small business owners, you cut corners, you do things, you say, I'll do it later. And now this opportunity is here and you don't qualify. So I think just, you know, business coaching, working with other, I know like the Small Business Administration can come in, just working with other governmental partners just to make sure that people are aware of the opportunities and really to help them along the process. Don't just say it's here and then that's it. But some people really need to be pulled in.
No, you need guidance. I mean, that application is brutal. It's not something you could sit there and do in a day, and they give
Not
you,
at all.
what is it, like almost 3 months to get it done?
And it times out a lot of times.
It does, and
it times out.
You have the one for the government, the one for the state, the one for your county, the one for your town. Like, it's not just one application, it is.
It's a lot.
People, get out there, get your MWBE, get those, there's one for veterans too, right?
Yep, there's one for veterans.
Get those opportunities. Let's build the community and make money.
Yeah.
So, as a real estate lawyer, have you ever had to use your legal expertise to negotiate the price of a dream home for yourself?
Well, that's an interesting question. Yeah, and I think that's one way that I've benefited from my own career. There came a point in time where I said, I keep making money for everyone else. How do I do this for myself? You know, it's one thing to collect a fee. It's another thing to be the client.
Right.
So I really have started pivoting in recent years to really use the knowledge that I use to make other people money to make myself. And I think that, you know, just researching the market, you know, all the little tips and tricks, the foreclosures, the this and the that, you use that all to really better yourself.
The market is kind of crazy right now. How do you, like, I know I'm a millennial. You're Gen X. You don't mind me mentioning that?
No, I'm 47 and I'm proud. Better than the alternative, so I'm happy
Asian,
with
like,
that.
fine wine or gracefully, black don't crack. No, but like, I know our generation, like I was featured in Newsday talking about how hard it is just to find a house. You know, I've been renting for 8 years now. I'm getting ready to go rent at another location, and it's expensive. It's the price of a mortgage, but there's only, the last I heard, 5,000 houses on the market. Like, what are some tips you have for millennials trying to navigate this market on Long Island?
Make a relationship with a good broker. The brokers lots of times are not mandated to put things on the market depending on who their client is and what the banking situation is. So pick a broker that you like, that you trust, and it's possible to get something before it hits the market. That would be number one. Brokers are excellent. They know, you know, the ins and outs, and they have really good relationships with people. There are some websites where you can go on and comb through foreclosures, but it's going to be difficult to do that. You really need kind of an inside track. So if you're interested in that, you can, you know, I can help you out with that.
Inside track, people.
But it is difficult to do that from the outside because so many investors and brokers have their, you know, their relationships from the beginning.
Well, I know my family, as in me and my significant other, will be hitting you up. I don't think we're going to want to rent too much longer.
No, and there are plenty, even first-time home buyer programs. Those things actually work, you know.
Right.
They give money for down payments. They help with the closing costs. There are a lot of programs like that.
Today, your town has one right now, right?
I think
and
so.
it ends today, where they help out with down payment assistance. See? That was an opportunity I was going around for a couple months, people. Y'all got to get on it and stay on it.
Yeah.
Follow your elected and potentially elected leaders' pages. They give you hot tips on what's going on, how you can make money, how you can save money, how you can build your legacy so you don't have to leave. I don't like seeing people leave.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad.
It is.
And unfortunate, you know, life happens, situations change, but the mortgage stays the same.
It sure does. It sure does. So you got to prepare yourself to build that wealth. Build that wealth. Listen, this is like my fun question. I always end the show with like a fun question. With all your involvement in the community from Queens to Long Island, have you ever participated in any fun events or traditions, especially unique to Long Island, like the annual Oyster Festival or the Montauk Polar Plunge?
Polar plunge, no. And I would likely never do that, no. You know, growing up out here, it's kind of like living in the city and never going to the Statue of Liberty.
That's a fact.
You know, I grew up going to the beaches, and, you know, I guess I've been to Montauk once or twice, but, you know, just living regular Long Island life, I actually haven't done anything crazy like that. I actually haven't.
Have you seen the Long Island duck?
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
Yes, I've seen that. I've seen that big giant duck.
We have a big giant duck out on the East End, and I feel like you're not a true Long Islander if you haven't seen it. So don't go now. It's getting weird. The weather's getting weird. But go in the summer with your family. Go on a wine vineyard tour or something. Go to the beach and see that duck. Take a picture
and tag her.
Yeah, tag me in your coolest duck picture. That duck is nuts. I'm like, why is this here?
That's out in Flanders, I think,
right? Yeah, like, why are you here? But whatever.
Very random.
There's a lot of cool things that happen on the East.
Yeah.
So how can we support you in the upcoming election?
Oh, in the upcoming election, let's see. Well, of course, we can always use volunteers. So if anyone is interested in knocking doors, that would be fabulous. We have text banking parties, phone banking parties, and things like that. And the thing about local elections is it really is a grassroots organization, especially on the Democratic ticket. There isn't necessarily the big machine push behind us, so it is about what I can do, what I can bring to the table, and what the people that support me can do. So any little thing helps, and it's not a huge commitment, 2 hours here and there, 2 hours, 1 hour. There are lots of things you could do from home, and of course, if you live in District 3, vote.
You heard that, guys. Make sure you vote on Election Day. November what this year?
It's November 7th. You can also donate. Didn't mean to leave that out.
Listen.
$5, $10.
Your local elected and candidates, they need money to keep going.
Yeah, it's really,
Donate.
it's a lot. You know, everything, the mailers are expensive. You have to have postage for all of them, websites, staffing. It really adds up to a lot. Even these local elections can run $30, $40, $50, $60, $70,000 easy.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Well, how can, now, if we're not in the district and we want to support your other business and we want to support your law firm, how can we find you, you know, and where can we reach out to you?
Sure. So my number is 631-LAW-4141. That's 631-529-4141. We're full service, open 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. You can email me, alyson@basslegal.net. And I do have a website up, and it's in the process of being remodeled, so it'll be up and running, but you can send an email through the website also.
Okay, you
Check
have
us out.
Instagram?
Not for the law firm yet. See, I'm a Gen Xer, so I'm still catching up on those things. I think we have a reserved name, but it's not anything major. But I think it's NY Counselor,
Okay.
NY Counselor at Law or something.
All right, we'll find
get
it.
you that.
We'll find
Yeah.
it. All right, Allison, thank you so much for being a guest on the That Sam Law Show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.